afternoon, friends. I have to appreciate all of you because we are not good listeners, we are all teachers. But I see all the people are very alert and not many are sleeping. So I have to really appreciate your patience as well as interest. At the very outset, I would like to appreciate the creative mind and imagination of Father John. Again, he's gone, I think. Now, in giving some space for eco-friendly space in this international conference on space and content management of networked society. When this subject was suggested to me, I was thinking how this will fit into this whole setting, because you are all librarians, professionals, having done higher studies, PhDs in library science, and this is not a science, library science subject. Then how do I fit into? Or you are all talking about the virtual library and the buildings, the space that you provide, etc., etc. But then I was consoled. I had a sigh of release when I heard someone of the participants saying, appreciating the campus while he was coming in. This campus is beautiful, something very different. We feel it as we entered into the campus, neat, clean, green, serene, and calm. That means I consoled myself, there is a concern for the environment within the library space. And even when I was looking close to the logo of the conference, again I was consoled, because there I see the whole treasure of knowledge projected in the computer but kept under the shade of the tree. Again I was consoled. I thought I can fit into. My paper somehow can be fitting to the whole setting. And again another incident is that yesterday evening I had a supper with one of the madam. Then she was suggesting me that we have to come back to the ashram life to have the real enlightenment and enhancement of the intellect. Another consoling statement for me to present this paper in front of this elite group of librarians and great scholars of the library science. So all these indeed helped me to think and also have the courage to present. Then I understood there is a need, appreciation, and demand for eco-friendly space, and also a scope for this paper. It is true that the importance of the green library, yesterday Ramesha was speaking about the green library, and there was also a presentation for the intellectual erudition and spiritual enlightenment is beyond doubt. There is a space for this green library or a eco-friendly space. I believe that you and I like and love a calm, serene, and peaceful environment. You and I love to sit out in the lawn, even if we have very comfortable AC rooms. You and I love to travel keeping the AC off and the windows of the car open as we leave the busy, dusty, and smoky township. Therefore, we are all lovers of environment. Today we speak much about the eco-friendly houses, eco-friendly products, eco-friendly clothing, eco-friendly cars, eco-friendly living, eco-friendly material, eco-friendly furniture, and ways of being eco-friendly. In other words, we are all very much concerned about the eco-friendly aspect of life, ecological scenario. But then the question comes, why do we give much importance to this eco-friendly scenario? We are living in a world of fast changing, but this fast changing is not only in the information technology, but also the very life of the earth. Perhaps you knew that the whole strip of land, from Japan to Australia, it was one strip of land. But now we have small islands. Even the Indonesia is a collection of More than 17,000 islands. Philippines, more than 7,000 islands. All these were one island, one strip of land. If we logically think, we are all in great tragedy, because in the course of time, the great continent that we are living also will be small islands here and there. In other words, perhaps that is what the great Indian sages spoke about, the Pralaya. Pralaya is the world coming to an end, disappearing in water after the Yuga. So it may happen, because if we believe, it is historical, of course, if we believe that starting from Australia to Japan, it was one strip of land that is ended up in small islands, it may happen to our own country and our continents. And what is happening today, again, just for what do we think about echo, the scenario? Again, the icebergs are melted, and every year it is decreasing, and the water level is going on increasing. Another sign of this disaster and tragedy. Therefore, we speak much about the eco-friendly approaches. What we reflect now is not this tragedy. Rather, I would like to present before you the importance of this eco-friendly approach for our intellectual enhancement and spiritual enlightenment. That is my title. So what I am not proposing to go back. Rather, I am just suggesting what was the ancient system of education that we had in India, traditionally practiced, and that should be given at least an amount of attention. I think there is a sign, a signal to that. That is why there is a discussion on green library. And I think, I don't know how it is kept, there is a garden library just behind our DVK Central Library, where people love to go and sit and read. There are a lot of elements that is influencing us when we are very close to the nature. We have the system of a Gurukul and ashram tradition in India. We had. Even now also we have. If you go to Rishikesh and Haridwar, etc., we can see ashrams. Huge ashrams are there, and also how the people live. It is customary and very much traditional in India, having a system of education, being very close to nature and being part of the nature. And it is clear from the ancient system of Gurukul and ashram traditions. In Sanskrit, the Guru means teacher or master, and Kula stands for extended family, a type of school that is residential in nature. Guru is the one who dispels the darkness of ignorance, and Kula is the living together of the disciples, sharing everything with the teacher in his own hut. So the Gurukul is a place. Gurukul is a place where the knowledge is shared in the midst of nature's calm and serene surroundings. Gurukula system had influenced many scholars, princes in the ancient times. Gurukula has an atmosphere of serenity and calmness. The ancient eco-friendly universities. India had few ancient centers of higher education, when perhaps there was no universities existing in the whole world, and even the very name, the concept of university was not evolved. The first university as listed in the history of Guinness Book as world record is one that was founded in Morocco by a Muslim woman in 859 AD. But in India we had Nalanda, Takshashila, Vikramshila universities that imparted higher education during the first millennium BC and also the few centuries preceding to that. Astronomy, art, painting, architecture, logic, mathematics, grammar, philosophy, literature, Hinduism, Buddhism, Arthashastra, etc., medicine, etc., were taught in these universities. For specializing the study of medicine, students went to Takshashila, while Ujjain had given importance to astronomy. Nalanda was well known as the biggest center and handled all the branches of knowledge. The point of my interest here is both the fact that we had universities in the early times, and at the same time, they were not confined to centralized air-conditioned multi-story buildings and rooms. Rather, they were very much situated very close to the eco-friendly space for intellectual erudition and spiritual enlightenment. We read in Bhagavad Gita, the sacred scripture of Hinduism, as follows: Urdhvamulam adhashakham ashwadham prahur avyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastham vedasa vedavit. A supreme personality of God said, Krishna said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. This is Gita 15, verse 1. So banyan tree is considered a holy tree in the Indian tradition, and it is also the national tree of India. However, as described in Gita by Lord Krishna during this exhortation to Arjuna, a tree spreading its roots in heaven and the branches extended on earth certainly is a simile or a symbol. One might have seen such a tree on the banks of the river reflected in water. There is no actual experience of such a tree. It should be taken as a symbolic narration and figurative. Perhaps what is intended by Krishna would be the proper understanding of the true reality and the reality of the world. That is, indeed, the beginning of the right education, intellectual enrichment, and spiritual enlightenment. It would be an invitation to look at the world from a proper perspective. A symbol of banyan tree reminds a Brahma Jignasu, an earnest aspirant in search of God, that the reality of this transient, changing material world is that truth which is ever permanent and the fullness of all realities and perfections. Purnamadha Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachide Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevam Avashishyade. That is from the Ishavasya Upanishads. That means the reality remains as real without any decrease or imperfections, while all these perfections that we experience in this world come from that perfection. The symbol of banyan tree hanging from the heavens may tell us also that whatever we see and experience here on earth is only a reflection or shadow of that truly true reality, which pours down its perfections to its creatures and never loses its fullness. Sitting at the bottom of the tree, of the banyan tree, learning and meditating will create a kind of awareness which will in turn lead a candidate to a right attitude and aptitude. A right attitude to the world and a correct aptitude for the supreme knowledge, Paravidya. It gives us the simple but very valid and valuable message that be rooted in deep spiritual experiences but get involved in the world and its activities with a detachment. The sap, the life juice that flows in you and I, should be the spiritual sap from heaven, the spiritual world. It is the right tone for one's both intellectual endeavor and spiritual activities. Therefore, sitting under banyan tree and meditating or making a discussion on or even doing the studies will facilitate right goal setting for all such programs. True education and intellectual endeavors must lead everyone to the knowledge of this great wisdom of the distinction between the two, eternal and transient. Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka, and it will lead to the proper detachment to what is not eternal. However, Buddha, Bodhi tree and enlightenment. Banyan tree has played a major role in the origin and development of Buddhism as well. It is a common tradition of India that the people in pursuit of truth and knowledge leave the comforts of life and go to the nature and natural setting, vanaprastha and sannyasa. When Buddha left the palace in search of meaning of life, after trying it with various groups of people who were trying different methods of meditation and ascetic practices to attain the experience of the true reality, Buddha sat under a banyan tree, following the middle path at last. Being the symbol of eternal life, perhaps the banyan tree provided him the ambience of serenity and peace, where he got enlightened. Buddhism itself considers Bodhi tree as a symbol of the ultimate potential that lies within us. The Bodhi tree today performs a very important role in all Buddhists of all traditions. For them, it is a reminder and an inspiration, a symbol of peace, a symbol of Buddha's enlightenment. Therefore, it refers to the unique consciousness of fully liberated being. Sitting under the tree and meditating will give us that mind. It is also sometimes described as complete and perfect sanity. Awareness of the true nature of the self is possible when we sit close to the nature. Scenario of eco-friendly ambience and enlightenment. Considering trees as sacred is not alien to Indian culture. We get references for this in the ancient literatures. As it is already mentioned, in India, there is a tradition of moving to the nature, leaving all luxuries of life, searching for an experience of the absolute truth. It is considered as the third stage of one's life, which is called vanaprastha. The atmosphere that an eco-friendly space provides us cannot be substituted or provided by anything other than that. The tree shades and the open space provide the aspirant an apt atmosphere for meditation and reflection. The ambience of the nature with its freshness, openness, wider perspective give lots of many natural warmth, homeliness, and needed solitude and serenity. So situations certainly make the intellectual and spiritual endeavor most effective and fruitful. Many of the ancient literatures evolved from such situations. The sannyasis spent their life in small huts under holy trees in meditation and ascetic practices. The life close to the nature makes it easy for them to develop an attitude of detachment to the things that entangle them to this world. When people are close to the nature, the possessions are minimal, and the needs are less, and the cravings are nil. Such people never look for comfort, since it comes from their own inner thirst and personal choice for experience of the divine. Another important dimension of banyan tree is that its seemingly vast expansion is considered as a symbol of eternal life. Holy tree is also called Kalpa Vriksha, a tree that fulfills all your wishes. There is a greater importance for the tree in the life of Indian people, and that would be the reason why Vanaprastha is depicted as one of the stages of life as he completes his responsibilities.